What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown Podcast edition. This is episode 30. This is the September 2019 recording. I'm sitting down with TCC President Rob Roach and GM of Sales AJ Petrarca. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon, depending where we are.
30 episodes, huh?
30 episodes.
Wow. Getting up there.
I thought it was a big deal when we were in double digits. The 30 seems like like when you turn 30, it's like a landmark age.
It is, yeah. It's all downhill from there.
Not that I would know, but so I've been told.
Good to be young. Enjoy it while it lasts.
We are sitting here staring September straight in the face.
Yep.
Starting to see kids go back to school. The tourism are a little bit down around the areas, which is nice. Nice time of year. Still get some nice weather, but a little bit less busy around the islands, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. It's my favorite time of year. It's just beautiful out, sunny usually, and cool in the morning. Warms right up, and just been gorgeous lately. The flowers are out. The monarch butterflies are starting to come through on their migration, and it's a wonderful time of year.
I gotta admit, I've seen some leaves starting to change. Makes me a little bit sad. You know?
Don't notice that yet.
It's
Maybe we can ignore it, and it won't happen. You know, we can hold on to September forever.
Sounds like a song. As we talked about last month, lots of geopolitical trends and issues going on throughout the world. As we've kind of mentioned before, any one of them on its own would be a pretty big deal, but we have upwards of 6, 8, 10 different things going on throughout the world. Protests in Hong Kong, the Brexit UK conversation continues to be happening. Seeing massive rainforest fires in Brazil. Lots of different stuff going on, and obviously impacts not just our business, but business globally.
Yeah, it's really concerning, and again, I don't know if it's just our exposure to media and that we have all this information, that we see all this going on, or it's really troubling that all this is really happening all at once. Because I think you said any one of these would be in a major topic, a major story, and we've got a half dozen at least things that are very concerning that are happening worldwide. So a lot to pay attention to.
Lots to pay attention to, and try to put it into a formula and figure out how it's going to affect business and imports and exports and everything up and down the supply chain. It's a lot to take in and digest and figure out what's going to, what to make of it, what to make of it all.
Well, I'll tell you how it's affecting business negatively, very negatively. So across the board, we're hearing from Asian partners, European partners, Latin American partners that things aren't good. So I think that's confirmed. It's having negative impacts around the world.
It seems like it's a lot of just people kind of clenching their fists and holding on to figure out what's going to happen. It's not super positive. It's not super negative. It's just kind of like almost wait and see, which obviously has its own negative effects.
Yeah, I mean, as a microcosm at TCC, things are going well, but we're hustling to keep it at that level. I mean, everybody's working harder to maintain status quo. I mean, you're fighting major headwinds with the case industry off, the thermoplastics industry off, the automotive industry off, the recreational vehicle industry. I mean, you go on and on and on. I don't think there's any particular group or group of industries that's doing well right now that I can see.
Yeah, we're starting to get into a little bit busier of a trade show season that we'll talk about in a little bit, but should be interesting to see what people are saying and what kind of the general consensus is at some of these shows.
Yeah, I just realized we're heading down to tornado or a hurricane alley this week.
Yep.
Going to South Carolina, right in the path of that storm. So we'll see if we make it.
It's like deja vu. Didn't that happen to you last year too?
It happened the past 2 years, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's a good deal. You get good pricing down there.
Yeah, I guess that's...
Might be time to change the location, maybe.
Perhaps.
Yeah, everyone loves Charleston, though. Nobody wants
Great city. Yeah. It's too bad if they
there.
have to change it, but it is, a very tenuous time of year with hurricanes in that area.
Yeah. One of the trends that are starting to come out, we're starting to see reports of the U.S. GDP, quote-unquote, normalizing, coming back to about 2%. Obviously still strong numbers, but things are kind of coming back to normal after some of the tax breaks and different business plans that came after the election in 2016. So things starting to normalize, still above 2%, still quote-unquote good, but coming back down to a more normal level.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any sort of market indicators improving with, an idiot president like we have. His modus operandi is to pretty much slash and burn everything. Personally, I'm affected by his tax policies and tax plans. The company's affected by his escalating trade war. His rhetoric is full of lies. He's passionate about dividing people. I can't wait until someone takes his place. He's done tremendous damage to our country and the world, and he couldn't get out of office quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah, starting to see articles that some of the tariffs are going to go up from 25 to 30% or 10 to 15%, depending what levels they were at, and advising businesses to look elsewhere from China, which you can understand the opinion, but will typically lead to less efficient production, more costly production, which doesn't solve many of the problems that he's looking at.
Well, free trade is good for the world. It really is. And we already have duties and programs in place, and we watch the trade flows and we try and normalize them and make them fair. So this trade war there's no real winner. There's only losers, because we're about a year away from an election, and the Chinese are sitting there going, we don't have to deal with this idiot. We don't have to deal with him. He's got no backup. He's losing his support very quickly. And he's just one man. And so there's no way to go but escalate. And it's ignorant, just to continue to escalate this. It's just complete ignorance.
And us as a microcosm of business with China, a lot of our business coming out of China is relatively flat. It's a lot of products that can only be found in China, or only produced in China, unfortunately, just subject to the tariff and an increased cost that we have to pass on to our customers and end users.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of our largest products that we import from China is only produced there. So we're working through, filing for an exemption to the tariffs, which I don't think is going to go anywhere or do us much good. But we'll go through the exercise and see if we can, get that filed, because we feel as though it should be exempt, because it's, there's no other option here. Right. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. Something to keep watching. Seems like things can change, and we've seen things change overnight. One tweet goes out, and all of a sudden, plans that businesses put in place are pretty much out the window and have to kind of readjust.
Yeah, I mean, who can operate under these standards? And I understand that the stock market is stable, but his tax plan boosted only billion-dollar corporations. It didn't help the individuals, didn't help small business, didn't help farmers, didn't help anyone. It just helped the swamp, the one he was supposed to drain. That was the benefit of his tax plan. We still have Obamacare, really, and it's not being improved upon. There's no new health plan. We still don't have a wall. We have lost our major partners of decades, even centuries, to political banter and tweeting. It's a joke, it really is a joke. And I just hope some semblance comes over Washington at some point, and some people get some logic and understanding of what's going on here. And I don't think we're going to get that, at least for another year.
Yeah, one other big trend we're starting to look at too is watching the Rhine River over in Europe. Something we talked about, I think, this time pretty much last year with significant historic all-time lows on the Rhine River impacted global trade.
Last year, not this year.
This time last year. Yep.
Yeah, true. It affected the GDP of Germany as a whole. It's had a major impact. The good news is that there was considerable snowpack in the Alps, and there's been decent amount of rain. There's also been a year where companies have found contingencies in case of it happening again. The government of Germany sees this as a major problem and is making changes and informing folks about what they're doing and how they're doing it. So luckily, I think this year we'll get by with minimal impact, and the supply chains from our producing partners that are on the Rhine look solid right now.
Yeah, I think we saw BASF publicly say that they attributed $200 million of loss, 200 million euros of loss due to the Rhine River issues alone. Just it shows the magnitude of how important of a supply chain where the river is.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't higher.
Yeah.
When you're loading barges a quarter full, you're paying 4 times the amount to move a quarter the amount of product. So, it's raw material wise, supply wise, finished product wise, you have to have the Rhine River to move these products. So I'm surprised, but that's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. A couple other positive things, I guess, going on, or maybe a little bit more neutral. One of the things we've seen this month, the American Chemistry Council, or ACC, their high phthalate panel announced that they were doing toxicity testing on a bunch of products. 2 products were specifically volunteered to go through the process. DINP, obviously a major focus for us, as well as DIDP. Expecting to hope to see some feedback and results from that over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months. But something we're watching closely and we'll keep everyone updated on.
Yeah, it's interesting. They voluntarily submitted DINP and DIDP for tox testing. It shows a few things to me. It shows that their confidence in the tox profile or lack thereof, as it was found by ECHA in Europe last year. Really, the only strong headwind to DINP right now is Prop 65, and as we know, that's not really based on concrete scientific evidence. So we believe that DINP is a necessary plasticizer for flexible vinyl. It's INA-based. INA production worldwide is able to support the volumes of flexible vinyl needed worldwide. It can't be supported by 2EH-based products as well. There's also competing products that'll really stress the demand of 2EH if we go back to a strong economy where INA is really solely focused on DINP. So it's really interesting, and I think that if the findings are positive, it'll just reinforce to the flexible vinyl industry that this is an amazing plasticizer, one that stays in the compound, stays in the vinyl, does not leach out, and therefore come in contact with humans and get into the bloodstream and cause damage. So,
yeah, we saw positive reports, similar scale come out of Europe last year, so now we're seeing the same thing in U.S. trials. So certainly positive to see and something we'll keep an eye on closely.
Absolutely. I think it's a really interesting, and I'm looking forward to see how things progress here.
Yeah, well, wherever you're streaming this, if you scroll down, we'll post the article that has the info on it, and obviously keep an eye on it as it goes through the process and see what the results come out to be. Keep it on the same track. One thing that's, I think, a growing trend and something we haven't talked about too much in the past, but probably worth the conversation, is kind of the circular economy. It's the buzzword for it, or kind of global recycling efforts. Something we're seeing more and more of. I think the trade war maybe sparked a little bit of it with Asian countries stopping taking waste from Western regions and seeing more companies look at sustainable products, things that can be recycled easier or are a little bit easier on the not the economy, but recycling efforts. It's easier to recycle, and something we're seeing, I think, more and more from customers has been a trend recently.
Well, sustainability has become a big trendy word in chemistry and in companies as a whole. And the fact is that if we don't consider sustainability for the future, we're all going to have to find a new planet to live on. There's just too many people. There's just too much plastic. You're right. China, Cambodia, et cetera, they've stopped taking our recycled goods or our plastic or our waste. So we have to consider how we can manage this with hundreds of millions of people and the way they consume and the amount of plastic they consume. It needs to be handled, just like we have to do something about automobiles. We can't continue to spew carbon monoxide at the rate we are, with Americans having 1 and 2 cars per person, and now the world wanting that as well. Again, that's not sustainable. It needs the chemical industry to find those products that can be sustainable, biodegradable, not affecting and polluting our earth.
Yeah, and we've had some companies even look at and pay more for a sustainable raw material, something that's produced or recycled, just for their sustainability efforts. It's less about profit. It's obviously still about profit, but more about being sustainable and looking for those products, which is positive to see.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, obviously, it doesn't hurt that the recycled products sometimes are cheaper than the virgin product.
Yep.
So, the question is, are people willing to pay a premium for the sustainability? And that's not always the case, unfortunately.
The fact is that plastic is a problem, but we also owe a lot to plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Plastic is the reason why humans are healthier, the reason why we have the medical industry uses a tremendous amount of plastic to treat us and our family members. there's a lot of positives that have come from plastic. The negative being that it's not biodegradable and it's ending up in our oceans and our landfills and at an unsustainable rate. So I think this is something that the chemical industry will have a big part of solving this problem in the future.
Lots going on, lots of different geopolitical trends and things to keep an eye on. Certainly a bunch of stuff that we'll keep talking about and keeping everybody updated.
I think it's interesting that, China's always been seen as someone who's manipulated their currency. And now through tweets, Trump's trying to manipulate interest rates. I mean, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. He's been manipulating his economy through his tweets and through his rhetoric, the same as this evil empire is doing. So it's, again, we can't sit here and think that just because the stock market is at 26,000, everything's okay. That is not an indicator any longer. Because I know, because of the trade war, that there's plastic piling up in Houston, unable to export to China, where 70% of the U.S. production of plastic needs to be exported mainly to China. So what do we do when the export stops? Everything backs up along the supply chain. Everything. So rail cars stop shipping, barges stop shipping, plants turn down. So we're kind of going through this process that we saw 08, 09 with the recession, where it's called rationalization. We're going to have very rapid rationalization. People are going to stop producing because they just don't have, a robust auto market, a robust housing market. The housing market has been completely crushed by his $10,000 cap on property tax deduction on your federal income tax, the $750,000 cap on interest equity deduction is ruining the housing market. In so many states, people want to go and buy, just like here in Jamestown, they want to buy a second home. If they've got a $500,000 mortgage at their house in Connecticut and they want to come to Rhode Island and have a beach home and they want to spend $500,000, well, that $250,000 is not, they can't deduct that interest off of their taxes. So now all these signs are popping up in Jamestown for houses for sale and they're not selling. So, people need to look at how this one person is negatively affecting them and be vocal about it. You have to be vocal about it because, in the 4 years, the things that he could ruin are inexplicable. It's just unbelievable. And it's all for one purpose, to give a break to the billion-dollar corporations and make himself more money. That's it.
And the housing market brings up a good point. It goes all the way back to slowing housing starts. Obviously hurts wire and cable companies, hurts
we hear it. We're hearing it every day. We talk to these people and they're saying, oh gosh, Q4 looks like a disaster. I wonder why. It's like, this is not good. It's just a snowball and it's just going downhill and it's just getting bigger and bigger and the momentum's growing. So I hope it doesn't end up being a disaster.
I think the one good thing is that, like you said before, the tariffs are temporary, right? There's a shelf life to them. They'll probably be used as a attacked in the next election cycle. So we've got a little bit more to get through here until they probably go away. I'd have to guess. So just to throw a little bit of positive spin on all the doom and gloom here.
I don't read the positive in that. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, as far as the tariffs go today, they're in place,
right?
And then I think he'll use that in the next election cycle as he drops them saying, "Oh, look at what look what I did. It's a great, great thing I did," and then they'll be gone. Or if a Democrat comes into place, they'll drop it obviously as well. So either way, it's not gonna stay long term.
Yeah, well, that just doesn't give him any leverage in negotiating with China. I mean, so it's basically a failed plan already, based on what you're just saying. I mean, it's not just a failed plan. It's raised the cost to American consumers for so many things.
Oh, I agree. I'm not justifying the plan. I'm just saying it's not going to be a very long-term plan. Maybe another year or so, and then we should be out of it. I think.
Yeah, you would think. I mean,
unless he gets elected again, and then we'll see what happens. But
I'd rather have Mickey Mouse elected than I don't care who it is.
Who can beat him?
I think at this point, I think just about anyone. I mean, the most recent polls are showing that, even Elizabeth Warren could beat him, so, we're set to see, it's a shame that, the last 3 years have been an election campaign by Donald Trump, This is just getting so wearing on everyone, and now we got a year of intense campaigning after 3 years of, direct campaigning to the people. So we're getting some fatigue, some election fatigue already. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out.
Yeah, and you mentioned one thing about the stock market in there too. Has been very high, especially with the tax cuts and things like that. Corporations seem to be propped up a little bit with the expanded profits. Did come down a little bit in August. Was down about 700 points month to month. Kind of finished stronger at the end. But
you look at large corporations and who do they care about? The shareholders. Okay, so they want to return to the shareholders. I mean, even here at TCC, our federal taxes have gone from 33 or 31% down to 21%. Well, that just means that if we leave money in the company, that we have to pay less tax on it. It really doesn't do any good for our employees. It does nothing for them. It just means that maybe we strengthen our company a little bit more if we leave money in there. So, most people don't own hundreds of millions of dollars companies or billions of dollars companies, so that they're not seeing the benefit. So when a billion-dollar company gets these savings, it'll benefit the shareholders, and then not the employees and not the individuals, not the customers, not the suppliers. Inevitably, it'll just benefit the shareholders and the company itself. So, I'd like to see a tax plan where, the middle class has benefit, the lower class has benefit, people are taken care of. Also we've got a burgeoning debt. Our debt is growing massive rates. We're having to spend money to bail out the farmers because they can't sell to China, So it's, America's a mess right now. I mean, I'm glad you have a positive spin, AJ. I'd love to hear more positive spins on this because I'm obviously, not an optimist about what's happening right now, but I think I'm a realist, honestly.
Maybe one positive, there was no price increases this month.
Yeah, well, that just means there's no real demand. There's no robust demand. There's no reason for price increase because, supply and demand fundamentals are pretty much there's plenty of supply. If you need it, it's available. I'd say almost all of our producing partners have come to us and said, please help. We need to move more. Yep. So
we saw
it's definitely a buyer's market.
Never a good sign.
No.
Yeah, crude natural gas stayed pretty flat. Crude down maybe $1 or $2 from this time in August.
Keep in mind, crude's tied to the stock market. So
yep. So went right along that. Benzene flat, maybe a couple cents down, but not too much to report there. And ethylene, propylene, both pretty flat. So pretty not much to report on the pricing side for this month. But we'll see what happens coming in the end of the year here.
Prices are flat, plenty of availability. That's the gist.
I think that's the gist. Yeah.
Send us a WhatsApp. We have plenty of product to give you. We're missing Javi in his WhatsApp today. Featured products, new products. One thing I don't think we've talked about before is the BDO and the THF, two semi-new products for TCC on the newer side. Something we're currently managing and looking to expand, of course.
More focused towards Latin America, but also good availability for all the regions. We've got a great producing partner and looking at bulk and packaged both. So it's an exciting new product or new product line for us, and we're excited to take the challenge on to grow the business.
Yeah, been something that's been growing the last couple of years, and something we're, like you said, excited to continue talking about. We
really haven't had that strategic partnership that we have today, but I think they've been impressed with what we've done without a partnership, just working with them, and so therefore doubling down and hoping that we can help grow the market for them. And I think that's what we're best at. You know, when you give us a challenge, we'll meet that challenge to the best of our ability.
And no better place to start promoting a new product line than trade shows, of course. With the important part of our industry and something we still put a big focus on is trade shows and conferences and things like that. Been a pretty quiet summer, which has been pretty nice, but September definitely jumps right back into it with some big shows coming up.
Yeah, most of the summer's been filled with customer visits and a lot of travel, so it's been a busy summer. But coming up on trade show season, we'll be heading down into the eye of the hurricane next week in Charleston, South Carolina, at the Chemicals America show. Be myself, Ben, Ray Altenberger, and Steve Friedewald. I think that's all of us, right?
Should get some TCC umbrellas made up or something. Stand on the street corner.
Some
and
ponchos,
hand them out
maybe.
Ponchos.
We're gonna need something.
I like it.
Is it too late for that?
I mean, we can make stuff happen. It's never too late.
We should let a spending freeze.
Yeah. I think we can hold off on that because there's a good chance you might not even show up in the first place.
That's valid. That's true.
And then
that's a good show. I don't want me to cut you off, but that's always a good show. I think if people haven't looked at it before, across a majority of industries, that's a good one to look at. It's well attended, well exhibited. People talk about that show in high regards.
Yeah, it's sold out. There's been a waiting list for the past 4 or 5 years for exhibitors to get in there. So it's definitely a show with a lot of attention, and it's very well attended. So we're looking forward to it.
And the next one's a newer one for us with the CAMX.
Yep. A couple weeks after the Chemicals America show, will be in Anaheim, California, at the CAMX show. This is one that we've walked a few times in the past and had some good results from it. So we'll be having a small booth there this year. Be myself and Tim Driscoll manning the booth. So come reach out to us for meetings. Happy to set something up, and look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, another new product line, a relatively new product line for TCC is the fiberglass, glass fiber, silica fabric, etc. So AJ and Tim have been doing a great job of growing that new product line for us in the CAMX show. We're looking forward to that to further bolster our supply chain on those products.
Yeah, it's one we haven't talked about too much. We should look at.
Yeah, we should in future podcasts. We should talk more about that. Maybe have Tim in, and that's definitely something we should put on the list.
Yeah, the CAMX is interesting because it's composites, and then there's also a lot of the chemicals that go into the coatings of the composites. So the resins, the vinyl coated fabrics, all those same people there. So it's both composites and chemicals. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a good one for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling there aren't too many shows in that industry. Like it seems like we don't hear about that many shows. Maybe we just don't focus on it too much with shows and stuff like that. But it's one of the only ones that I see for the composites specific group.
I may be mistaken. I think the two shows combined to make this one. I think it was the IFAI and then a different show that combined to make the CAMX. But yeah, we're looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one coming up end of the month is the Vinyl Tech. It'll be in Akron, Ohio this year. Another good show. It's great for anyone between being brand new to the industry. They do a great technical session on the first day with kind of a good overview on the industry, as well as if you've been in it for 10, 20, 30 years, they do a good update on what's currently happening, what current trends are, things like that. Half presentations and technical presentations, half kind of trade show feel, so it's a good mix too. Good blend of trainings and learning things, as well as obviously having the opportunity to network, and we'll have a tabletop booth there. So another good event, one that if you're in the vinyl space, definitely recommend checking out. Usually pretty well attended and held in good regard. And then coming up on the EPCA in APLA later on, EPCA in October and then APLA in November. Probably talk about that in the October episode, but should be interesting to see that EPCA and get a feel for what's happening over in Europe at that time.
Maybe we should make some umbrellas for the EPCA. That way it'll hopefully like coax rain in that area and fill the Rhine up,
There you go.
Might have some effect on that. But yeah, no, looking forward to getting back to Berlin. In October, I guess last year was the first time really that the meeting changed. It's more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday versus used to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I guess there's a German holiday on that particular Sunday. And so things have shifted. Unfortunately, I'd already booked my tickets well over a year ago, so I'm departing on Wednesday afternoon. So we're trying to fill everything in. We're still meeting on Sunday. I think it's the silly Americans that are all meeting on Sunday. The Europeans are smart enough to to have that as a day off and then show up on Monday. But no, it's always great to get back into Europe and meet with our partners and have some positive banter. And then shortly after that is APLA in Buenos Aires. Things in Latin America, we don't have hobbies update, but things are still struggling there. Even in Argentina, the value of their currency has dropped significantly recently. So I think there's a lot to talk about at APLA. And, I know Javier and Angela are heading down there. I'm on the fence right now. So it's a long way away, Buenos Aires. It's it's at the bottom of the world there. So for even people from up here in the Northeast where we're traveling, but especially Asia and Europe, it's a long travel to get there.
What's the weather like down there in November? Is it?
The last time I was there was very nice. somewhat cool.
Is it their summer because it's Southern Hemisphere?
It would be. It would be basically. I guess it would be spring. Okay. So it would be their spring going into summer. So, but from what I can remember, it was comfortable.
Yeah,
it's a great place to visit. I mean, they've got fantastic meats. They've got fantastic wine. I mean, it's a really neat place, and enjoyed being there.
Yeah, so definitely be interesting to report back. I guess it would be the November episode to report back on EPCA. So some interesting episodes and conversations I think to come once we kind of hear back from what's happening at these shows and be able to report back and talk about it.
Yeah.
Wrapping things up, some inside TCC news. I'd like to welcome Nicole Greenberg officially onto the inside sales.
Yep, she
team.
transitioned from a customer service expert to inside sales, so it's nice to have a new addition in sales.
Yep.
Also, we got a baby coming soon with Michaela Turnquist, and Nicole's actually pregnant as well, so she'll be having a baby.
Yeah. I guess we didn't talk about that last time. That's a new development.
Yeah,
exciting.
So she transferred into sales, but she'll be taking a leave, obviously, for the baby in another 7-8 months or something like that. So, but I think it's exciting. I think kids are great. I have 4 of my own. Encourage people to have lots of kids because they keep you seen and insane at the same time.
That's a good way to put it. You concur?
Yeah, my 2 keep me insane. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate it. Anything else to wrap things up with?
I can still hate on Trump as long as you want me to. I can talk about how horrible his policies and how poorly it's affecting our business. I hate to beleaguer that point for everybody, but we are a microcosm. We do see things. We've been talking about this for a long time. Of what's coming, it's come, and I'm afraid of what will continue to come. So I just encourage everybody to keep their head down, work hard, and we'll all get through this. I'm proud to be an American, love my country, and just hope that we can all come together in positivity and growth, and we have a future leader that brings us together and doesn't divide us.
Yeah, I think that's well said. We can leave it right there. Of course, we appreciate you guys for listening. Wherever you guys are streaming the episode, feel free to scroll down. We'll have links to everything we were talking about in the episode. Hopefully a good resource for you guys. Available wherever you do stream your podcasts, whether it's on the iPhone App Store, Android App Store, go to thechemco.com/podcast. We do have the video version on YouTube and social media, courtesy of the Kettlebottom creative guys here. We appreciate you listening. Thanks for letting us make it to 30 episodes. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.